and welcome to Foodforest Permaculture and Community Resilience course. And today we are in session 15 and we are talking about zoning.
Sunny palm leaves on the coconut trees way above our heads with the breeze.
So zoning is part of the permaculture design process. If you remember, we talked in a session before, we talked about Salimed, and zoning is part of the analysis part. Zoning in permaculture is a key design tool to place elements in an energy efficient way for your land, community or society. Zones are defined according to the level of human activity, the efficient of movements, flows within a system. Permaculture zoning dedicates certain areas of your design project to special usage. By using zoning, you increase the efficiency of land use while decreasing demands on personal labor and traveling distance. It is about finding your individual optimum between overall productivity and your personal energy input. Zoning in permaculture is about understanding the patterns of human movements within a space in order to place design elements where they will naturally and easily receive the attention they require. It's all about reducing unnecessary travel between areas while giving the needed attention to the different elements. The greater the need or use of an element, the closer to the center of activity we place it. Let's take a look at each zone individually. Each design, and this is like the disclaimer, right? Each design is individual, and it's important that you listen to your needs and your design drivers, your boundaries and your priorities to create something that is your own design. So please understand the zoning examples just as examples and not as a copy-paste approach. What do we understand when we talk about Zone 0? Zone 0 is the center of the action. It is the residence, it's your home, it's your workplace, or in general it's a conceptual starting point of the project. It is the area where you most likely spend most of your time by default. So what would be an example for Zone 0 elements? It's a farmhouse, a cabin, housing, tool shed, accommodation, or a place for processing harvest food. Zone 1 is an area needing regular observation, energy and harvesting. It's very close to the house or daily pathways to increase efficiency. Elements that are placed in Zone 1 tend to be small and require daily attention and frequent upkeeps or visit from people, right? Plants placed here require full irrigation, full mulching, and much human management, including pruning, harvesting, and training. And this is like for the people working with figures and numbers, around 70% of the plants in your Zone 1 will be annual plants. And this also very important, all garden beds are mulched. You want an example for Zone 1 elements? That's a kitchen garden, the nursery, greenhouse, outdoor preparations, trellises, tool sheds, kitchen compost are also normally placed in Zone 1. So let's jump to Zone 2. As Zone 1 is the most visited of all zones, Zone 2 is next. Therefore, Zone 2 sits just beyond Zone 1, and in some cases elements can be placed in both of the zones depending on your key design drivers and priorities. Compared to Zone 1, areas are less intensive managed with higher demand for space and more opportunities for bulk harvesting. For the first two zones, we should pay constant attention to water and soil. And here we switch the ratio, so now 70% of the plants are perennials, whereas 30% are just like annuals. In Zone 1 it would be the other way around, right? Zone 2 tends to be the area with the highest output or productivity per area. Medium-sized windbreakers to protect your crop from wind. In temperate weather climate, it's not necessarily important to irrigate Zone 2 year-round, but in the tropics and dry climates, you might have irrigation possible for the dry season. Okay, and now we're going to Zone 3. Zone 3 is probably what comes to most people's mind when they think about farming. Most commercial farms that sell food of any kind requires a Zone 3 scale to be profitable. On a small plot of land, you might even exclude your Zone 3 or have it on a next nearby spot. 2 more to go, right? Like Zone 4 and 5. And now Zone 4 is only partly managed, so We are leaving the more cultivated areas, zone 1, 2, 3, and now we are going to the more wild areas of your property. However, it's not a completely wild zone like zone 5. It is more about facilitating and interacting with nature in a more experimental approach. You're creating a symbiosis with nature, and your harvest looks more like pick by walking, as many of the wild species in this zone won't be planted by you and offer spread over the area. Last zone, right? Zone 5. This zone is part of the fair share approach of permaculture. It tracks wildlife, encourages diversity, and it's beneficial to the designed parts. Zone 5 is a completely wild ecosystem, a great place to observe and learn from nature. It is a no-touch area most of the time. No form of profit-based intervention is recommended here. Any sort of intervention you may take in this site is best done with an attitude towards regeneration and letting nature take its course. If you would visit this land, come as an observer for the purpose of leisure and learning. Alright, let's sum it up, zoning in short. Elements that require the most input and attention should be nearby to where you stay, and those which requires infrequent attention and little management should be further away. Thus, you are splitting your permaculture project into 5 zones around your house. Zone 1 is the area surrounding your house or along your daily passes, while Zone 5 is a wildland that you are not maintaining productively. The boundaries of each zone are flexible and not fixed or static.
Also subscribe to our YouTube channel, and yeah, let us know what you think about our content. If you have any questions or you want to have a session about something specific, please let us know. And until then, stay safe and healthy, and see you soon.
Well, hello, early morning sunshine, shining in through the shutters of my window. Well, I'm glad I can see you again. It's been a long time, my very old friend.